Welcome, everybody, to a one-on-one interview on the Triple B Experience. My guest this evening is an on-air radio talent. He's also do host and podcasts. He takes a little different approach on the wrestling podcasts than I do and a lot of other people do. It's something that he truly loves to do. His pro wrestling podcast is called Wrestling with the Heart with Stanley Karr. And everybody, welcome to the Triple B Experience, Mr. Stanley Karr.
Hey, good to be here, Bubba. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm welcome. We were trying to do this for the longest time, and we're all busy. And I know you've been busy, and I appreciate you coming on the Triple B Experience for this one-on-one interview here.
Yeah, man. Good to be here. Let's have some fun.
Okay, so let me get into it. Where are you from, Stanley?
I am from Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA, home of country music and music capital of the world. Lots of really awesome venues here. Just one of the hottest cities in America right now.
I can agree, but let me ask you one question because I'm a big Elvis fan. Have you been to Graceland?
That is still on my bucket list.
Okay.
I've been wanting to go to Memphis for a while. So I was actually going to go to Memphis a couple of years ago, but there was a situation, I guess, with the trains. They had like a strike and everything, so we had to change course with our travel plans. So I'm aiming to go to Memphis at some point in the near future.
Sweet. Yeah, you got to see Graceland at least once.
Yes.
So have you lived in Tennessee all your life?
Most of my life I've been in Nashville. I did spend a good part of my childhood up in Maryland and D.C. for many years. Spent a good chunk of my childhood up there. Moved when I was 3, came back when I was 10. So been a Nashville native ever since.
Okay. Oh, well, hey, let me ask you a question since you do a wrestling podcast. Now, when you were younger, did you watch any type of professional wrestling when you were younger?
I absolutely did. When I was about 5 years old, I started watching WWE, WWF with my dad. He actually was watching Raw one night when The Rock was on, and this was back when he was wearing the big sunglasses with the hair and the fancy shirts and the necklace, and I think he was wrestling. I believe it was Big Show. He had called him out or something like that, and so Austin Stone Cold was out with an injury, and Triple H was like the top heel at the time. Like this was like the McMahon Helmsley era. So 2000 was a really good year for WWE as far as like the talent and just the product was concerned, like the in-ring work and the storylines. It was insane.
Yeah. So that's what got you hooked, watching it with your dad. Was your dad a big wrestling fan?
He was. It was actually in our family for many years. My grandfather used to go to a place in Nashville called the Hippodrome to watch the local wrestling at the time. He had guys like Jackie Fargo and Tojo Yamamoto. Len Rossi was another one. I actually got to know Len later on in life. I got to go to his health food store and we became good friends up until his passing. But my dad used to go with my grandfather to the matches, and my great grandfather as well was a big fan. So it was just kind of all in the blood. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's all in the family from these generations. That's cool. That's nice. Those are experiences that you always will treasure, especially watching it with your dad and grandpa.
Yeah. My first show that I ever went to go see live, I was 9 years old. Living in Maryland. It was in Frederick, Maryland. And so this was during the time when the brand split was like in effect, like that first brand split between Raw and SmackDown. I went to go to a Raw event. It wasn't on a Monday. It was on a Sunday night. And so they had Triple H there, they had Edge there, they had Batista, Randy Orton. Pretty much all of Evolution was there, and it was an outdoor show. And
Oh wow, an outdoor show. Wow.
yeah, it was crazy because this was like they had the ring all set up and they had a tent, so there was no like Titantron or like when you think of like a big stage of a big show, like you think
Mm-hmm.
of like the wrestlers coming out of a big stage, but no, this was like a tent. So you had all these wrestlers coming out of the tent, and I remember during one part of the show, uh, Stacy Keibler came out for an interview, I believe, with Jonathan Coachman, and I think this was like around the time they were promoting the Diva Search or whatever.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Coach said something, I think, not very nice to
Right.
Stacy. Stacy hit him where you don't want to be kicked, and then they had an intermission after that, or not too much later after. And so I remember just kind of taking off from my parents and just going by the merch stand, just seeing what was around there. And then I just saw this tent, not putting two and two together. Just I was going like, what's in this tent? Who's in this tent? I see Stacy there, I see Victoria there, and I see Kane to my left. And
Nice.
so Kane's like going like really has this like intense face. I just say hi, Kane, and then I just get yanked by the back of my shirt by my dad. So
Well, that you're up and close, up and close. Those are experiences, you know.
mm-hmm.
So, you were a WWE fan growing up
I
your
sure
whole life.
was. I sure was. I kind of was like I caught the tail end of the Attitude Era. Didn't really get to see a lot of WCW or ECW. I've read the magazines and I heard about all these guys. So I watched all that stuff later on. But yeah, I was definitely a WWE guy for
More
sure.
than you were WCW.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't never got to really watch WCW much up until later on in life through like the network and footage and everything like that,
Okay.
and same with ECW too. So I actually appreciate all that stuff more now as an adult because you get to see what the companies had to offer. So it's really unique. That
Yeah,
was
because
a hot time.
I'm surprised that you said you're more of a WWE guy, being from Maryland and living in Tennessee, where more of it's WCW down in that neck of the regions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate all wrestling, like all kinds of styles and this. I definitely have more of appreciation now for the territories. Like I said, like I grew up with. I started
Okay.
seeing people like Len Rossi, getting to hear his stories about breaking into the business and wrestling in Memphis, wrestling in Nashville, wrestling in Chattanooga, and all these different places. And I started like really learning about all these different spots, and like pretty much anybody that was anybody came through the territories. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, Memphis was so hot for a long, 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 long time. So, in school, you were a big fan in school. Did you get any heat because you're a wrestling fan? Because sometimes in school, sometimes kids are cruel. You
Yeah.
know, and it happens
Yeah.
to me too back in the day. I know we got a big age gap. I'm 23, you're
Mm.
probably 21. I'm kidding. But you know how kids are. So, did you have any type of conflicts or any issues because you were a wrestling fan growing up in school?
I mean, like I'd get a little. I wouldn't say teased, like or made fun of, but like I mean, I'd get like little jabs, like "Oh, it's fake," or "Oh, why do you watch this kind of stuff?" or
Hmm.
"Oh, like." But it wasn't like anything major or anything like. I mean, come on, it's
Right.
entertainment,
Right.
Everybody's got their dislikes and likes, and so I think that pro wrestling, takes a lot of skill and takes a lot of work, as I've talked with so many people on my show so far, it's like it's no joke. The training's intense. You really
Hmm.
have to put your body through a lot of discipline to get
Yeah.
to that level,
Yeah.
even more
It's
so than other sports.
it's well, I watched Jake the Snake, and he said if he wasn't in a ring for like 3 days, you get ring rust after 3 days. So it happens. I haven't been in a ring in a long time, and I don't think I could. And for me, it was brutal. The training was brutal, traveling, and I'm glad I'm on the other side now.
Yep.
But So okay, so you were in school. What kind of major when you went out of school? What kind of did you go to college?
Yes, I majored in broadcasting and mass communications.
Nice.
Went to a school up in New York, SUNY Oswego, and just learned so much there about the broadcasting industry. Got my associate's degree at a local community college here in the greater Nashville area, and I just really took to it, man. Just I love what I do.
And you always wanted to do that. So behind the mic, that was your calling because you are an on-air talent.
Yeah.
So what was your first on-air experience? How did you get that?
So when I started college, I thought, they had a radio program there, and I was like, wow, I want to get involved with this, see what this is all about. And every week I just started doing radio shows. Like I got trained by the my professors, and I was like, I dig this because I love music. In addition to wrestling, I'm a big music fan.
Well, what kind of music do you like, Stanley?
Well, I'll listen to, anything, pop, rock, country, started to get into the country scene a little bit more. But I've mainly focused in a lot on what we call classic hits, like pop songs, rock songs from the last 30, 40 years,
Okay.
80s, 90s,
Like a
60s,
Casey,
70s.
like Casey Kasem when he used to do the
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So once I started doing radio shows, every week it was just something to look forward to. And so I just got hooked on it. And so I'm currently working at the station that I got my start in, basically. So
Oh, so you came back to the roost then.
yes, yes.
Okay. So you went out and did your craft in other places, and then you wanted to come back
Yeah,
to the place that
yeah.
you started?
Yeah, and I'm kind of helping out just a lot of students and volunteers that want to get involved in the radio program, and I just wear a lot of hats, and it's a lot of fun.
What format is the radio station that you are working at right now? What format is that?
So it's a classic hit station, and we also have a country station as well that we've been working on some things with that format, basically like modern country. Luke Combs, Luke Bryan, Kelsey Ballerini, just to name a few of the artists that we play on that one. But training people, that's kind of
How do you train? I don't know nothing about. I'm a novice. How would you train people to be in radio if they come up and they applied and you would train them and they have to go to school? I mean, what's your day look like?
yeah. If volunteers want to get involved with our program, we say, um, come by the studio. We'll set up a mic for them. We've got a board. We teach them how to run the board, how to do an on air shift, and it's we have what we used to have. It used to be live when I was there. Now it's all voice tracked, and
Oh,
we pre-record things ahead of time. But it's all good. It's good to give back, and it's good to teach the
sure, sure.
young folks the business. So it's great to see that people want to still want to do this.
Now, do you have any shows on the radio since you on air talent? Do you work? What's your typical day look like? I mean, you in the office at say 5 o'clock doing the morning drive, or
Yeah, I voice track afternoons.
oh, okay,
So help prepare music, train volunteers, get stuff prepared that we want to talk about around the community and things like that. I also work part-time at a station not too far from there, and I'm there on the weekends too,
oh
playing pop music. So, and I also have been doing this community radio show on a local low power FM station called The Piano Men, which is a show devoted to piano players in all genres of music. Uh,
wow,
so,
okay,
and I've actually had on a lot of people that are big names in the industry, like Jim Brickman, John Tesh. There's a guy
oh
named
wow,
Michael. There's a guy named Michael O'Mardian who played with Steely Dan and helped give Christopher Cross his start. And I also got to interview a guy by the name of David Sanchez who used to play with Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band. He was one of the first original members of that band back in
wow.
the '70s. So Yeah,
How do you get those? How do you get those individuals? You just try to network and try to put yourself out there and
yeah, it's all about putting yourself out there, all about networking and just seeing what happens.
wow,
You never know unless you don't try.
I agree. I agree, Stanley. That's amazing. So you actually do a lot of stuff in the radio media,
Yes.
not just doing the tracks, but you're helping people, and a
Hmm.
lot of people don't do that. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Giving back to the business. How long
Yeah.
have you been? How long have you been doing uh, the on air and just in radio after you graduated from college? How long have you been in that?
Oh wow. So this would be now 3.5 years, but I've been basically been in radio for like almost 9. So
Okay.
to get all together, so it's really rewarding
Okay.
and
Cool. Cool.
fulfilling.
So, you do like in your radio station, you go out and do like some promotional stuff. So you're like one of the personalities on the radio station.
Yeah, for one of them, yes. I've definitely done some. We've done events in the past, and I've helped out with
Do you have a
those.
handle? Do you have like a name, a DJ name, or you go by your real name?
I just go by Stanley Karr.
Okay. Well,
It's a
Dr. Johnny Fever. I figured, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. So, you've been doing that for a couple years. You like wrestling. Now this podcasting stuff has been taking everybody by storm. Everybody's doing a podcast. So, what made you get into the podcasting world?
Okay. I was taking a class at the community college where I work, and my boss was teaching a podcasting class, and I got involved. And this was the same year I went to my first WrestleMania in Dallas,
Oh, nice.
and I went to WrestleMania in Dallas, and I also went to this event called, well, you know what it is, SummerSlam. Uh, yeah, I gotta tell people that
Kinda,
don't know.
kinda.
Yeah. SummerSlam. When it came to Nashville, and I was like, this feels like a good time to do a wrestling podcast. And so, if I do a wrestling podcast, I want to do something that not very, if anybody's
I
really
don't think
covered
I
before.
think you're so unique. I don't think anybody does what you do.
No, no. I mean, I'm sure like people have done episodes devoted to charity, just like
Mhm.
separate like episodes, but nothing like a series
Right.
on like really giving back and charity work and inspiring others. If there's a story that somebody wants to share, if somebody's gone through a hard time in their life and they want to talk about it, I'll give them the floor to share their story.
Mhm.
And I've had several people do that so far in its run. I've been on doing this now for a year, and I want to continue and hope to continue for many more to come. And I see pretty big things happening in the podcast in the near future. So I started with 7 episodes with the class, and eventually I started really getting into it. And I said, I want to make this a thing, and here we are now.
So what was your first what was your first show like when you did it? Because it's probably something, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, looking for guests, it's not always easy. And
I know.
luckily, my first show, I was able to get in contact with Al Snow about doing the podcast, and he was my first guest. And I'm so
Nice.
thankful to have him come on the show. He was my first guest. It was a great interview. And I've gotten a mix of big names plus local talent, which it's good to have that because it gives the local guys a platform and girls a
Right.
platform.
Right.
So we want to make that available, but I'm hoping in the coming year is to get more big names on the show.
So how do you go about trying to get them? You just keep trying, keep getting them on social media, showing them a little bit of your format of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, like I've contacted so many people via social media and via email. Sometimes it's hard to get in touch with them because they're busy and
Mhm.
they work or they're at conventions and they've got all kinds of things going on. So I try to hit them up on Facebook or Instagram. If they've got an email, I'll write them, and sometimes I'll get a response, sometimes I don't, and I'll just have to follow up every few months. But it is a grind. but I've just got to keep my nose to the grindstone and hope that something comes up.
Well, now how many episodes have you had with Wrestling with the Heart? With the Heart.
Currently, I'm at 69. I'm going to upload 70. I actually just uploaded 70. It'll be out tomorrow as we're recording this. It'll be out on Wednesday.
And who did you
So,
interview, if you don't mind me asking?
yeah. So AJ Kazana of NWA is the guest that
I
that's
just
going to be on.
saw him
Really,
Saturday night. Yes,
really.
yes.
So he'll be on the show. I just put up an episode with Victoria. She was on the show.
I've seen
I've
that.
interviewed
Very good.
Yeah, guys like Stevie Ray, Al Snow, Rip Rogers, Chris Harris. Oh man, Devon Dudley, Terry Runnels. Man, just so many people.
The who's who of professional wrestling. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, well, getting the independent guys, do you think the independent guys' stories are a little bit more emotional maybe than the other names, or is everybody's story the same, like totally, into it and heart wrenched? You know what I'm saying?
I would say they're all unique in their own way because you just never know what somebody's going through in their life. And these people are telling their stories, and I think it's important to get those out there because somebody could be listening to it, and you never know, that person could wind up being a big name someday for one of the major companies. So it's good to get their name out there, and like I said, it just gives them a platform because these people are on the rise in their careers. They're just breaking into the business. So who better than to tell their story than someone that's trying to get their name out there with their own podcast?
So, can you describe a little bit on how your show is run and how what kind of format you actually do when you do your shows?
Yeah, so my show is devoted to wrestlers that, we talk about their careers just like the other podcasts, but we try to focus and emphasize on giving back to your community, whether it's things like charity work or community service or volunteering. If there's a story that somebody wants to share that's inspiring, we do that. Episodes run, I've had an hour-long episodes. I've had 20-minute episodes. I've had 15-minute episodes. They vary. So eventually a goal of mine is to get this syndicated on radio. So I'm aiming at some point to format the show with maybe one or two interviews per episode, maybe a half an hour show or an hour show, maybe if a station wants to carry it.
Would you do incorporate your show and then add a little bit more, maybe like have a different kind of segment so you could get like an
Yeah.
hour?
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm hoping. Maybe at some point doing like a recorded intro to show what I've done and kind of go from there. So
Have
that kind
you
of
have you
gives it.
tried that yet? Have you tried to get it to where you want it to be?
I mean, it's a process. My goal right now is to just get my podcast out there, people knowing about it, getting more high profile guests, and then from there I want to format it for radio.
Okay, so when you get a show done, how is your process of getting your show out there to the masses? Because everybody it does different styles and different
Yeah,
formats.
yeah. So I use iMovie to edit my shows. I use Zoom to record the show, and from there I just pick and choose what I'd like to edit, what I'd like to take out, put up pictures, and export that to a file. And from there, I just take the audio from the video and I just put it in all the platforms. We're on most, if not all, podcast platforms. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on uh, iHeart. We were on Google, now YouTube.
Yeah, isn't
Uh,
Google going away though? Is that what I've
yeah,
been hearing?
yeah, they're phasing it out. YouTube's going to be the more dominant platform for podcasts. So it's now on YouTube. I'm pretty much on everything. I'm working on getting on the TuneIn platform. They're just changing some things around. So eventually, once they get everything all resolved, the issues resolved, I'm going to be on that platform as
And
well.
you also have a YouTube channel, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So we're
and
always looking
people,
to get more subscribers.
yes. And how do you coming from one podcaster to the next? Do you just promote and market it every day?
I try to do as much as I can. Videos, I'm now switching from one podcast to two a week just to get some more buzz about it out there. Promote it as much as you can on social media. I've started posting shorts, trying to make my podcast a little more visible so that people know about us. Because, if you're not doing it enough, nobody's going to see it. So, or
Right,
hear
right.
it. So that's what I'm trying to work on more, is to get us out there a little bit more visible, and hopefully more people will respond.
Cool, cool. Now I'm thinking I always think outside the box. Now you're in one of the hottest beds of professional wrestling down there. So do you
Mhm.
have a lot of federations contacting you and like, hey Stanley, come to a show. Can you promote this and we can promote you and do stuff like that?
Yeah, I've had a few people kind of contact me about doing some stuff like that, and eventually we'll work up to that. I've been hitting up the convention circuit. Like last year, I went to Springfield, Massachusetts for the Wrestling Classic 3. I went to
Oh wow.
WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm going to be at WrestleCon in
Nice.
Philadelphia for WrestleMania weekend. So, yeah, if you're there April the 6th, we'll be there. Come see us 10 a.m. We'll be there. Come say hi. We'll have a big booth.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's huge because a couple the D'Angelo brothers who do RVD and Jake the Snake, they do stuff with that and they work with Conrad Thompson. They're
Hmm.
great guys in the Pittsburgh area
Yeah,
and they'll probably be there too. So you guys will probably all be hanging out and
they could be.
yeah. So are you one of the only few in your area that does wrestling podcasts to this? Or is there a few more? Because I know there's a lot of competition.
Few that do wrestling podcasts in Nashville.
Yeah, in
Um,
the area, yeah.
I mean, not that I know of. I mean, I might be the only one. I haven't really paid as much attention
Oh,
to it.
okay.
But
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there were people or are people that have done it, but I'm hoping to really make my mark with this podcast.
Okay, so you don't even put your energy into knowing what everybody else is doing because you're so focused on what you're doing to put your word out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at the other podcasts, and I love listening to all of them.
Mhm.
So I'm all for helping each other out, really listening to what the others have to say, and how can I make mine stand out? Make mine different from what the others are doing. Trying to build an audience and focus on that audience, because that's where everybody is. They want to see what the people are posting, the content. They want to see
Right. I'm just
what's out there.
can you use your radio personality and your radio stuff to push your podcast? Are you allowed to do that? Can you do that?
I'd have to look into that. We'll have to see what kind of limitations I can
Oh,
work
yeah, the higher
through.
ups probably maybe don't want you maybe promoting your own stuff on the station's time, right? You
Yeah,
gotta
yeah, we'd have to
okay.
we'd have to see what kind of happens with
But
that. But
also
yeah,
too, doing stuff for charity and stuff like that, that's a little different. Your show is just different. So I don't think
yeah,
anybody should give you any type of what they would want to welcome that, I think. Because
yeah,
it's something
yeah.
that's inventive and creative and outside the box.
It definitely is. It's. I don't know if you could call it a first of its kind, but it's definitely something that it's unique, and something that I intend to really use and continue to work on in the years to come.
Well, I think it is because I listen to a lot of stuff too, and I see a lot of stuff and pay attention and try to do the best I can. But I mean, yours is just different. It's the charity, and you're giving the individuals are telling emotional stories, and sometimes so that's
Yes,
huge.
yes, and it really is. It's all about the storytelling. It's all about uh, the content. That's what's important, is getting the content out there and showcasing what the work that you've done.
Yeah. So let's see. And you've been doing that. How long have your show's been running? They go once a week, or doing two now?
I've switched to two right now, because I've recorded a bunch of content, and I've had people say, when is my episode coming up? When's my episode coming out? So I'm trying to get everybody's episodes out as soon as possible, because I've taped a lot of content now, which is really good because it keeps the momentum going, and
Right.
more people will know about us. So I'm hoping that by doing 2 a week, more people will check us out and possibly want to be on the podcast, possibly want to be on the show.
So you're doing almost eight a month then.
Yeah.
Okay. So what day do you usually premiere your shows?
Well, right now, we've done a Wednesday and a Friday format. Hopefully that'll stick. So it's all about trial and error. So whenever, depends on like the day you kind of want to do it. Like I think a Friday's a really good day to run a podcast because it's the end of the week. People want to hear something different. People want to hear something new to get them inspired and energized. I figured Friday would be a good day to post an episode. Wednesdays is also a good day, I feel, because it's the middle of the week
Mm-hmm.
and, it's near the end of the week. So I thought, Wednesdays and Fridays, I think would be pretty good to run a podcast, would run a show.
So Stanley, every show you have is all recorded. You don't do a live show?
No, this is all pre-recorded.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes I do, this is recorded, but sometimes I do
Yes.
live where I can interact with the fans and get their
Yeah.
comments and stuff. So you
Sure.
just get the comments when you record, and then they write them in, and then you comment later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have people comment and I'll just, write back, respond. That's important, is interacting with the fans, because it'll show what they'd like to see, in the future.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you. I got a couple questions rolling up in my
Yeah,
head here.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Feel free.
you've been doing this show. You've been traveling to all kind of podcast wrestling conventions. You've been getting your name out there. You got some great guests on your show. Is there one show that you haven't achieved yet that you want to, like a topic or something in the wrestling community that you haven't talked about yet?
Oh, there's like a lot of topics.
That could be double-ended sword kind of thing. I just figured, you know.
We're focused on people that have given back to their community or have stories to share. But I've got a lot of dream guests that I'd love to have on the show.
Let's hear that. What
Yeah.
would be what's your top? Give me your top 3 dream guests that you haven't did, because the list that you told me prior to this is a very good list that you had on your show. I mean, that's
Oh man,
not.
I would say probably Kurt Angle would be a good guest. Mick Foley would be a good guest.
Mhm.
Tori Wilson would be a good guest. Trish Stratus would be a great guest. There's a lot of names. Stacy Keibler would be a great guest. You could get any of the guys from the Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression Era. They would be awesome guests for the show. I'd love to
Okay.
interview some of the guys from the 80s. There's so many people I'd love to talk with.
So you have your own personal list. So when you do it, you just check it off, and then you just
Yes.
keep going down. And if they don't respond, you go back up, send it out.
Yeah.
Now, do
Yeah.
you do other companies, like
Yeah.
AEW? Have you had anybody from AEW that you interviewed?
I've reached out to some talent. I've reached out to everywhere I can. So, haven't heard from anybody yet, but I did interview one person from AEW Dark that's now, I believe, wrestling for WoW. I've had a couple people from the Women of Wrestling promotion do my show. So
Okay.
that's really good, to get that kind of support.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to aim. I've had a couple people from the NWA as well, a few people from that promotion.
Mhm.
So
I love that. I love that promotion. That is a great promotion.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I always have I'm even from a kid growing up to now, I still, Corgan's doing a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
COVID kind of messed it up there a little bit when they lost some talent, but they're trying to regroup and hopefully go forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have a lot of stuff, so you just you have any other type of shows that you want to do, or is this just the only show that you would want to do in the podcasting scene, and that would be your niche, would be doing the charity stuff to give back to the community and stuff like that?
Yeah, like I've done the Piano Men for 8 years, and so
Oh my, okay.
yeah,
Woo!
I've done that show for 8 years now. So hoping to keep that going. Maybe revamp that at some point and expand on it. Maybe do other people that, just a musician type of show,
So
artist
that
type of
actually could
show.
bounce up. That could actually bounce up higher than where it's at then.
Who knows? It's just an idea. I've thought about doing like another kind of pop culture type of type of show at some point. Me, get out there. Like obviously, still have wrestling with heart, but if I
Mhm.
wanted to do other things, music would be the main one.
Okay.
Maybe a pop culture type of show to interview some celebrities.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ideas I have. So
So if you do one show, do you always plug your other show, like your piano show? Would you plug the Wrestle with Heart? Would you plug that on or no?
I kind of keep those separate.
Do
Those
you?
are kind of
Okay.
separate. Those are kind of separate things that I
Okay.
intend to, keep that way.
Because it might mess up like the
Yeah,
algorithms or something. The
yeah,
niche or whatever you
yeah,
call it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. 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 You don't want to get too. Yeah. Sometimes you put everything in a bag sometimes and then throw it out, and then you think
Mm-hmm.
you got a masterpiece, and
Yeah,
realistically, it messes it up when you just do one paint stroke at a time.
exactly.
So, um, I got some questions for you.
Sure, sure.
So, um, you said you like pulp culture. So, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh man, I love the Rocky series. Sylvester Stallone is my favorite actor. I think that really, kind of like with wrestling, just has that story of the underdog overcoming the odds.
Hmm.
And we just lost Carl Weathers, and that was just a tragedy, man. I never expected him to die like at that age. But I love that series and just the
What movie?
stories.
What movie out of that series do you think is the best?
I'm gonna say 3, just because I think the character, it was a really easy story in my opinion. The character gets all the fame and glory, wins the championship, then has this other obstacle that he's got to overcome because this guy's bad news. Clubber Lang, Mr. T, tough guy. Uh, Rocky was not prepared to fight Mr. T. And so
He got
he just,
complacent.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. He lost his manager and he has to fight like crazy to get back in the game, and he wins the title again. So he has to prove that he belongs.
Hmm.
Winning the
Yeah,
belt wasn't a fluke.
that's probably one of my favorite. I mean, I like the whole series too,
Hmm.
but the Rocky 3, it's because he was up and then he got kicked to the curve and he had to work his way up. I mean, that's when
Exactly.
So okay, you're. This is a three-part question.
Okay.
Okay, your favorite male professional wrestler of all time.
Oh man, The Rock.
So you like him now being as super over heel as he is?
you know, I prefer The Rock as a babyface. I've
Okay.
always preferred The Rock as a babyface. He's had some good moments as a heel. He really has. Like right now, he's doing some of his best work. I
Yeah.
think with this heel run, I think Hollywood. I liked Hollywood Rock too, but I just think that it was more. He was more comedic. That was a more comedic role for
Mhm.
him. But this is more of like this hybrid of nation domination and corporate rock, which I think is really, really good. So I enjoy seeing this version of The Rock. I'm kind of hoping he goes back babyface. We'll see what happens after
Do you
after
think he's gonna help?
WrestleMania.
Do you think he's gonna help Cody?
That's what I think's gonna happen. I sense a turn because you can't keep Rock as a heel forever. I mean, come
No,
on, come
no.
on.
But he is getting super over with the heat though.
Oh,
His
no
promos are
question.
awesome. Yeah. He's great.
You can't really boo the guy. I mean, come
No.
on.
I haven't, even then he was slapping Cody, and I like Cody too, and it puts you in a
Mhm.
predicament, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But hopefully the story is finished. Hopefully, we hope. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Mhm.
So your favorite female wrestler of all time?
Oh man, that's a tough one because
I
there's
don't want
so
to put you on the
many.
spot. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
No. All right. I thought Trish Stratus was really good. Just the total package, beautiful, sexy. Could really really wrestle and put on a show. Just incredible matches. Her rivalries with Lita and Jazz were really good. Victoria. Um, as far as today, I like Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. I'd say both of those have really turned up the heat as far as just being able to work and the move set Charlotte does, that moonsault, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
She's one of my favorites too. She's one of my
Mm-hmm.
top.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Bailey and Nia
Yeah.
Jax. I catch a lot of heat for being a Nia Jax fan. A lot of heat, but it is what it is.
Yeah, there's so many female performers now that are really, really good. It's insane.
Okay. Your best tag team of all time.
Oh man.
I know I go for the juggler when he asks these questions.
So I'd say that's a tie for me between the Road
Okay.
Warriors and
Okay.
the Dudley Boys. I would say both of those teams
Oh,
are
okay.
um just hard hitting, in your face. I love the face paint, the gear, the whole get up, with the Road Warriors and the Dudley Boys with just their, their extreme, the tables, uh, their trash talk, their promos. Can't get any better than that for me.
Yeah, I'm a number one Warrior fan. So let me ask you a question in a hypothetical booking matchup here in both of their primes. Who would you take if they had to go against each other in their prime?
I would say first match, Road Warriors win. Second match, Dudley Boys win. If I had to do that, I mean, it depends really who's the face and who's the heel. If you had the face, I would say Road Warriors, Dudley Boys heel. If you want to flip them, I would say the Dudleys get the win at the end, because if you're putting over new talent, I mean, Dudley Boys, I mean, they were, I think they could definitely get another run in them in a major company. I think the Dudleys could still go.
Yeah, I think that, and they can actually. Don't get me wrong, I love the Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yeah.
Warriors were smash mouth, and if it went past 6 or 7 minutes, you know what I mean. Like Dudleys can take it to 10, 15. The ladder
Mm-hmm.
Warriors could not do it. I mean, they did the scaffold match, but I don't think they could have done the ladder match.
Mm-mm.
And I hopefully people don't get mad at me, but I'm just being real. I think the Dudleys doing a ladder match and did more moves than the Warriors because it was a different time. But when the Warriors were heels, they just went in and beat everybody up and was done in like a minute and a half. So yeah, I could see your point on taking one and the other one, doing
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Okay. So what are your hobbies outside the radio business and doing your podcasts? What do you like to do?
So, I mean, I like going to movies. I love, hanging out with my friends. I enjoy exercising, swing dancing. I've gone swing dancing several times.
Oh.
And I've
swing dancing. That's like the 40s dancing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoy doing that. And I mentioned, my radio show as a piano man. I've played piano. I've played music for almost 20 years now. It's kind of more of a hobby, but I have gotten out and played gigs here and there.
I was just going to ask you that. Was you in a band and stuff before?
I'm mainly solo. Like I've gone to music camps and I've gone to different venues and I've played at different places. So it's a lot of fun. I do enjoy it.
Just the piano, or are you a pro in other instruments?
Well, I sing too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I took guitar lessons for a little bit, but piano is kind of the main one that I've focused on.
Oh, this is off this is off question now because you started talking about music. If you had a chance to go see a show of all time and you had the money to go, what show would you go see?
Oh man,
I know it's a hard one. I just threw this one out. This is not even. I didn't write this out.
I've seen Springsteen twice. I've seen Elton John and Billy Joel perform together. If I would have seen Journey with Steve Perry, that would have been like, if you're talking like, the 80s, that would have been the show to go see.
I'm talking the show of all shows where you could see somebody in their prime and you have an opportunity to go.
Yeah.
And the golden ticket, you would see Journey.
I would see
Okay.
Journey. Yes.
Okay. All right. Stanley, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Oh man, just to be a media personality. Try to grow my brand. Try to get my podcast out into the world and continue to build it. Try to get a career going and get some books published. Of the interviews I've done. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot I'd like to do.
Have you
Try to
got
be
have you got
syndicated.
a have you got a book published yet, or you just got the transcripts on the side?
Try in the process of trying to get transcripts made.
Okay. Cool. 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 One word that describes Stanley Karr. I'll give
Creative.
you creative. Okay, that's good. I like that. Creative. I was going to give you two. I'll give you. I'll give you another one just because I can't. I can. What would be the other word?
Positive.
I get that. I get that vibe off you for real. And
Thank
we've
you.
never met before ever. And I seriously get that vibe off of you. I feel you're upbeat and I've watched your show a couple times too. So it's not like I haven't. I don't know what I'm trying to do here, but
Yeah.
yeah. But I get that you're positive, outgoing. It seems, and you're just. It seems like if somebody needed help, you would be the kind of person that would give them a hand.
Yeah. Be
Yeah,
happy to.
I just see that about you. And that's a great quality to have, Stanley. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, and it was a great, great interview, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking your time because I know
Yeah.
you're busy and stuff. Where can people get a hold of you, subscribe to your shows, listen to them, and do all that? The platform is yours,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. So Wrestling with Heart with Stanley Karr. We're on Facebook. Just type in Wrestling with Heart with Stanley Karr. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram at Wrestling with Heart. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, at WWHWSK. We're on Threads at Wrestling with Heart. And we're on YouTube at Wrestling with Heart with Stanley Karr. We're also on most, if not all, podcast platforms. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on so many platforms and just keep on building. So please check us out. We want more subscribers. We'd appreciate it if you want to subscribe to our podcast. We've just hit over 300 subscribers. Our goal is now to get up to 500 and beyond. We're going to be at WrestleCon in Philadelphia, April the 6th. So come out and see us, say hello. So many wrestlers are going to be there. I'm talking about Victoria, Al Snow, lots of people. Lots of people are going to be at WrestleCon.
Nice.
Kurt Angle is going to be there.
That's where you get your meeting with him.
Yes.
Yeah, Kurt's a good guy. He was. I met him years ago, a couple times.
Yes.
Good guy. Real good guy.
I met him too. Very nice.
There. Hopefully he gets on and talks about his experience because that documentary from the WWE was just, whoo, yeah, it was really good. It was good. So, and if anybody wants to get a hold of you, like personally, how can they get a hold of you if they want to send you an email or something, or if anybody's listening and that's a worker or wants to be on your show? How can they get a hold of you?
Send us an email at wrestlingwithheart@yahoo.com.
Okay, cool. It was my pleasure, Stanley, having you come on. I appreciate you coming on and, like I said, taking the time out and getting to tell me about your experiences on your show and how you do that. And I wish you the best. And yeah, I mean, from one podcaster to the next, it is not easy. And I truly appreciate what you do. And I admire the way you're doing your show. And that's top notch because you're the only one that I know that does that. So that's a notch in your belt, sir. So thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Yeah. So everybody, I will have all the links to Stanley's, all his Facebook, all his YouTubes. I will have that out there. So please hit like and subscribe. Sit back and enjoy his show when he brings on these guys and girls. They're telling heart-wrenching and good, great stories. And it's worth the weight in gold is to listen to that. So everybody, I appreciate you guys listening. Stanley, I appreciate you coming on the show. And then anytime you have anything to promote, just send it to me and I will promote it on my social media for you. Because I do appreciate you coming on, and anybody that comes on, I try to do the best I can. You know what I mean? And this, and I wish you well at WrestleMania and stuff. And
thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'll do the same for you as well.
Well, if you got to cut up some stuff of this and put it out there, you have every right to, brother. So
awesome. Thank you.
So no, thank you. Everybody, thanks for listening to the Triple B Experience. Thank you, Stanley Karr from Wrestle with Heart podcast. You guys need to subscribe to that today. So everybody, thank you. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. Good night, everybody.